Welcome back to another episode of UFC Casuals. I'm Bobby, along with my co-host Andrew, and today we got a huge pay-per-view, the last one of the year, to talk about today, and some huge fight announcements. We won't waste any time. We'll jump right into the main event: Leon Edwards and Colby Covington for the welterweight strap. It's a battle of two guys who need to start challenging people in their own weight class. Uh, but a great fight regardless. What do you make of this one?
Yeah, we can get into calling out people a weight class above in a little bit, what to do after this fight. But this is the fight of the present, and it's an amazing
Yep.
fight. A fresh matchup for once. No rematches. We got a, Colby Usman, double. We got a Leon Usman double. And it's not new people in the title scene at this division, but it's a new fight. I'm
Yeah.
excited for it. And on paper, man, it's pretty close for me. Obviously Colby's my favorite fighter. I'm going to be pulling for him heavy, but I fear for him.
Mhm.
But I also see past the victory for him. So it's a true 50-50 for me.
Yeah, I had this was probably the fight I had the toughest time picking
Yeah.
with of the ones on the card because a lot of them are pretty lopsided when it comes to the matchmaking. But this one, man, they're like you said, there's a lot of path through victories for both guys. Obviously, Leon he has a big striking advantage in this one. He's great boxing, great kicks. We know that. But Colby, he has that relentless pace. He has great wrestling. Not much of a threat of submission, but man, once he gets a hold of you, he'll smother you for however long he has a hold of you until the bell rings. Yeah, there's a lot of path to victories for both guys, and that's what makes this so compelling.
And we've seen a past of Leon Edwards gassing.
Yeah,
We don't think it's going to happen. He looked better in the second, or I guess the third
yeah,
Usman. But Colby's just so relentless that if he does get him down and it gets in those later rounds, how is Leon going to fare? But takedown defense was so improved in that Usman fight that you're going to wonder, how many attempts is it going to take for Colby to get him down? Can he get him down before the subsequent, head kick that we've seen, or the body kicks or the leg kicks add up? The good boxing. Colby's been dropped with some good boxing before, and Leon definitely has that. So I think it's a classic tale of striker versus wrestler. I do think that Colby can hold his own on the feet, and
mhm,
Leon can hold his own on the ground. But you look at their strengths, and that's where the strengths tend to lean is a wrestler versus striker.
yeah. Well, it's weird watching Leon in that Usman fight. Going into that fight, I thought that or the third one, I thought Usman was going to get his belt back. I thought it was going to play out similarly. I thought he was going to smother him, but we saw a different Leon. It looked like he number one he wasn't fighting at altitude, but also he seemed to have kind of a renewed confidence. Seem more confident in his abilities. His takedown defense looks so much better. And again, that might be attributed to the lack of altitude. But he looked better. He looked much more confident, and I think this is the best Leon we've seen. I think the striking is going to add up over the course of this fight, and I know I'm worried that the pace of Colby and his wrestling it can smother him. And I watched the Chael Sonnen and Anderson Silva fight earlier today. I watched that back, and obviously Anderson Silva got the late finish, the sub, but man, Chael Sonnen was just wearing away at him, just taking him down, just laying on top of him,
Yeah.
landing ground and pound, and it was taking a toll on him. And I could see this fight playing out in a similar way. Colby has that crazy pace and he has that good wrestling. And if he gets Leon down and controls him, it'll just wear away at Leon over the course of the fight.
And what I will say about the Leon and Usman third fight is I didn't see the relentlessness out of Usman in those late rounds that you'll get out of Colby.
Yeah, that's true.
He's not going to stop. If he misses on his first 5 takedowns, he's not going to stop shooting
Yeah,
because he knows once he gets you down and smothers you, that's winning him rounds, and he gets to use that cardio that he's so famous for. He's not going to get a finish. I think that's pretty obvious. Colby's not looking for finishes. He's
yeah,
looking to wear you down and win a points decision that he can definitely get if you start to tire. And
yeah.
you know how many takedowns is it going to take to get him down? Can he get Leon down? If he can't, it's not going to be good for him. But if he does, and they start adding up, and Leon gets tired and tired, and the takedowns get easier, you're going to see Colby win those late rounds and probably walk out of Las Vegas, the last pay per view of the year, the champion. God, I need to see it.
That'd be wild. think though something that Leon has in his arsenal that we haven't seen in a guy that Colby's gone up against, especially with those Usman fights. I know Usman's got his striking's technically not good, but he's got good hands. He has power, and Leon can match that. But Leon also has kicks, and that's something we haven't seen Colby really threatened by in any of his recent fights. I think Leon's going to be able to work the legs, especially with how much Colby comes forward. I think if he can chew up that lead leg with the kicks, that'll start opening up kicks to the body, kicks to the head. I think that'll cause some problems for Colby. And I know I'm worried that if he does throw those kicks, it'll leave the single leg open, and that you don't want to go down with Colby because he can keep you there for an entire round. But man, if he can wear Colby down, I know that's a weird thing to say, saying someone else wearing Colby down, but if anything can do it, it's those kicks that Leon has, especially if he works the leg and body. So that he has that in his arsenal that Colby hasn't really seen before.
And I think that's a great point because I just thought about this. The guys that Colby's been fighting, they're orthodox. Leon is
Yeah.
south. It's
Mm.
much easier to throw a lead, a leg kick to the lead leg when you're throwing it from behind with your back leg, as opposed to like trying to come across in an orthodox style with your right leg across and get Colby's lead leg. So I think that's an amazing point. It's definitely a part of the game that Leon needs to take advantage of. He's a smart guy.
Yeah.
He's in a smart camp. I'm sure if that's something that they think they can exploit, they're going to do it. But as a couple of armchair coaches for Leon here, I think that's a great game plan. Is it just southpaw style, something that Colby hasn't seen.
Yeah.
Definitely attack his lead leg there, and maybe stop the forward pressure because the forward pressure is going to come. And if you
Yeah.
can slow it down at all, you're going to have a much better chance of beating Colby Covington.
Absolutely. Leon, I haven't watched a whole lot of his pre-fight media speeches or anything like that because, with all due respect, not the most exciting character the sport has seen.
And
But
a
he did say his team has put together a great game plan for this fight, and I trust him. And I think it'll involve a lot of kicks to the legs. Obviously, I don't have the mind that his coaches do, but that'd be my game plan going into this one: attack the lead leg, work some kicks to the body in there, and start to chip away at Colby the way he does to guys with his wrestling.
got to shoot him in a DM on Instagram. Hey man,
Yeah.
leg, you got the southpaw advantage. Colby's never seen this before.
I know you
I'm
got coaches who are in your ear who have, been a part of this sport their whole lives, but trust me, I got you. I
yeah.
got the game plan.
Who was that fighter that got a DM from a fan and then used it in the fight and it worked? I
Oh,
forget.
I'm not sure.
But you remember that though? Like it was
I think I've seen that.
it was funny. So everybody DM. If you're watching this, DM Leon.
We have the game plan. There it is.
Attack the lead leg. Attack the lead leg. But
And that's my prediction. I'm not sure if it'll play out exactly like I planned for him to, but I think over the course of the fight he's going to wear away at Colby's body. I think my prediction, it's a pretty detailed one. I'm going to say late in the round 4. I'm going to say Leon's going to get him with a body kick. It's going to start to slow Colby down. He'll hunch over. I think he'll be kind of backed up. I think Leon will pour on some shots and it'll be a standing TKO. I'm gonna say I don't think he's gonna drop Colby. I don't think that's gonna happen. And it won't be like a random liver kick out of nowhere that just shuts Colby down. I think it's gonna be the straw that breaks the camel's back. I think it's gonna be an accumulation of them over the fight. And that's what I'm gonna say. Late round 4 TKO for Leon.
in my prediction, I don't see either of these guys getting a finish personally.
Yeah,
They're
which is
not
fair. Which is fair.
prone to getting finishes. Colby does not have knockout power, and he really is not a sub threat on top. He doesn't even look for it, really.
Yeah,
He'll go for a weak choke sometimes, and it just never goes anywhere. He never gets hooks in or anything.
yeah,
So definitely don't think Colby's going to be winning by decision or by finish. And I just don't see Leon catching Colby. I don't. Colby's got a good chin, even if he catches him early in the rounds, before Leon starts to tire a little bit.
yeah. And
You know,
Colby has great recovery too.
great
Something to
recovery.
be noted.
Been knocked down multiple times by that crazy Usman power and,
Yeah.
and gotten up from it. And then got right back in the firefight. We saw in the Masvidal fight, he got dropped by a good right hook and got up immediately and
Yeah.
kept fighting like nothing happened. So we know Colby has the chin, although he is a little older now and it's been worn down with some powerful guys.
Mm.
But I think he avoids it long enough. It gets in those later rounds, and Colby Chaos comes out, man, and you just see the relentlessness. And Leon gas tank looked better last time, but it's he didn't face somebody with the pressure of Colby, and I just think he'll wear him down and get like a 3-2 decision, steal it in the later rounds. The takedowns will become easier for Colby, and he'll just be able to hold him there. Leon will
Yeah.
have no. He's just going to be on his back, cowering like a little pussy. And we're going to be saying "and new" at the end of the night. And Andrew is going to be a very happy
Bold.
man. He's going to be a very happy man.
Bold take at the end there.
Yeah.
Uh, man, this fight I'm particularly excited for though, just because I haven't had a title fight as of late where I've been so up in the air on who I think's gonna win, and the odds makers have this as a close one too. It's almost even. I think they have Leon as a very slight favorite, but it's damn near even. So yeah, this fight I'm really excited for just because of how competitive I think it's gonna be.
And even in like the Aljo O'Malley fight or the Strickland Izzy fight, where it felt like it was going to be so one sided, and then shockingly it turned out of nowhere and it was much different than everybody probably was predicting.
Yeah.
This one is like no big favorite.
Mm-mm.
It's 50-50 down the board. You can see multiple ways either man can win this, and
Yep.
that's what makes a main event like this exciting. That's how I feel like the Drickus Strickland fight is going to be next month. We're finally
Mhm.
like I don't want to. This just doesn't feel like we have dominant champions right now, but that
Yeah.
makes it exciting in my opinion.
Yeah. Absolutely. We'll move on to the co-main event. Another title fight we have Alexandre Pantoja versus Brandon Royval. It's a rematch of their 2021 fight that ended in a round two sub for Pantoja. How do you have this one going?
Not much differently than last time.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Brandon Royval, he's had a good little streak here. What, 3 straight wins since that loss, and he's looked great in those fights. He gets it done quick. He's so fast. You can say that about every flyweight,
Yeah.
but the striking's ridiculous. I think he maybe has a striking advantage over Pantoja, even though Pantoja has that dog in him. We saw that in the Brandon Moreno fight.
Yeah.
So if it stays standing, I'm not saying Brandon Royval can just knock him out here. Pantoja's got that dog in him.
Yeah.
His nickname says that way. He's a cannibal or whatever. So, uh, but Pantoja, we saw it in their last fight, and we saw it in the Brandon Moreno fight. He just has that next level that I think, he's just the champ, right? He's
Yeah.
got that mentality. We haven't seen that at a Royval. He could prove it Saturday, sure, but I know Pantoja has it, and that's why I think it could be a repeat, a
Yeah.
quick sub for Pantoja here.
I Yeah, Pantoja, he's relentless. We saw that in the fight. He's got great jiu-jitsu, great control, and he's got a hell of a chin on him. I mean, he had some great shots from Moreno, and he kept moving forward. He had some shots that they took that I thought were going to put him out over the course of that fight, but he kept wearing forward, and he ended up winning pretty convincingly. I'd say it was a pretty close decision on the scorecards. I think I would have probably had it 48-47, but I had no doubt in my mind that Pantoja won. Royval, he's taller. He's a little bit of a taller guy. He has, I think, 4-inch height advantage on him. Not much of a reach advantage though.
Hmm.
And Royval has good boxing. We know that. But my big thing with Royval is he has a lot less muscle in that taller frame of his versus Pantoja, who's shorter, who can pack more muscle onto that shorter frame. And I think he's just going to muscle him around. I think it's going to be a pretty dominant fight. I think Pantoja's too good on the ground. If it were to go there, I mean, he's absolutely dominant in that category when it comes to this fight. And on the feet, I think he's just about equal with Royval. I know Royval has good boxing, but Pantoja could hang with Moreno, and he gave Moreno some good shots himself. He kind of has some power too, Pantoja. So I think it's going to be a pretty one-sided fight. I think this one's going to go the distance. I don't. I only say that because I don't think every fight on this card is going to end in a finish. Although we did see, I think the last pay-per-view, every fight ended in a finish, if I'm not mistaken.
Did
So who knows? But I think this one does go to the distance. I think Royval might offer a little bit of resistance, but I think it's going to be one-way traffic. I think Pantoja is going to get it done 50-45, maybe even a 50-44.
something about Royval fights though just make me think it's not going all 5 rounds. So that's why
Mm,
I personally think it'll end kind of quickly. I think
mm,
we're gonna both go out there quickly and try and get to business.
yeah,
And Royval is gonna probably get overzealous. Pantoja is gonna get him down. It's his first title fight. Maybe some jitters there for Royval.
it's true.
Pantoja, calm, cool, collected, and he'll get a sub early into round two. I think they'll maybe feel each other out a little bit in round one, get to business in round two, and Pantoja will take it. But I could see a decision. I
Yeah,
think Pantoja takes it either way, though. If it does go out through a gritty 5 rounds, Pantoja's got that more of that dog in him for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Round 2 finish, Pantoja, and still boom.
Yeah, there's not many more other fighters that have more dog in them than Pantoja. He's up there with the best of them, of course.
No doubt.
We'll move on to the third fight on this card: Stephen Wonderboy Thompson versus Shavkat Rakhmonov. Wonderboy stepping up to fight the new boogeyman of welterweight, Shavkat. What do you make of this one?
Yeah, new boogeyman because the weight bully's gone finally. We
Yeah,
don't have to worry about.
not even a weight bully. I mean, he'd come in overweight. We saw the towel trick. He shaved off a couple pounds doing that. Came in 8 pounds over in his last welterweight fight.
Of
Hardly even a weight bully. He couldn't even make weight.
course, we're talking about Hamzat here,
Yeah, no doubt about that.
guy who couldn't even beat a welterweight on 7 days' notice. But
Off topic, but the mystique around Hamzat seems to be kind of gone. That invincible aura he had.
At least on this podcast. But Shavkat is the new boogeyman because he's undefeated. Yep. He's 16, 17, and 0, and they're all finishes.
Yeah,
absolutely ridiculous. I think he might want to go for a sub this time if he's looking to extend that finish streak, because I don't know how long, if you want it for 15 minutes, stand in front of the karate expert himself and risk getting caught with one of those, fast, long kicks that a Wonder Boy presents in this fight. But on the other side of that, he doesn't present a lot of a wrestling threat either. So if Shavkat wants to go that way about it, we could be seeing a dominant victory from him. Yeah. It just depends. I don't want to say Shavkat has this in the bag. He just needs to do the smart thing, but it kind of does feel like that to me, because if he just doesn't get reckless and he wins the way that on paper this should be won, then it should be an easy victory for him. But I don't know if he's going to do that. Maybe he'll get reckless and Wonderboy will have a chance.
Wonderboy, he's been one of the best strikers in the UFC for a long time now. We know that. And in the last fight for Shavkat, in that Jeff Neal fight, we saw how many openings he left on the feet. I mean, he got pretty reckless, left his hands down quite a bit. And that's a problem against a guy like Wonderboy, like you said, he can get those kicks up there quick. He can get those kicks up there fast. So, yeah, I think if this fight stays on the feet for too long, I actually think Wonderboy has a decent shot. But I think there will come a time where Shavkat gets caught. My prediction, I have another pretty detailed one on this one. I think at some point late in the round one, I'm going to say Wonderboy sneaks a front kick through the guard of Shavkat. Doesn't wobble him, but he stings him good. Shavkat feels it, and he knows at that point that it's time to get to wrestling. I think at round 2 he opens, gets it into the clinch, works his way down, and finds a submission. Wonderboy is going to offer pretty much no resistance to Shavkat on the ground. I mean, he's always been bad on the ground his whole career, and Shavkat, he's a monster. He's just a killer. I mean, he has 9 submissions, 17 finishes, undefeated. I think this fight will get down to the mat at some point. And I think that'll be Wonderboy's demise. But I do think there will be a moment where Wonderboy catches him.
And Shavkat's a big guy too. I mean,
yeah,
for a welterweight,
big welterweight.
You think of some of the guys that Wonderboy's fought in the past. You think of like a short kind of Woodley.
Yeah.
Or just guys being a little smaller than him because he is such a tall welterweight in his own right. I mean, he's 6'3" himself. So,
yeah.
But Shavkat matches up in the height department. A big dude too. I mean, we were calling Hamzat a weight bully. Shavkat might be a weight bully himself. I mean, that's a huge frame for a welterweight. But I think what you're saying is it'll happen late in round 1. I think it could happen in the first minute where he kind of caught with something big. And immediately the flip switches, and he's like, I need to take care of this right now and do what my coach has fucking told me, and have probably drilled it in his head this entire camp is do not, stand eye to eye with this guy and bang, because only bad things can happen. It's his only path to victory in his own right. And it could happen as quickly as the first minute. He gets caught with like you said, a front kick, just a head kick in general, right? And he's going to be like, all right, single leg, get him down, get on the neck, sub him. And I'm going for round 1 finish for Shavkat because I think it'll happen that quickly in the fight where it's like, I can't, I got to stay here. And he'll take care of business in round 1.
Well, I think Shavkat, he has a bit of an ego. We saw that in the Jeff Neal fight. He probably could have wrapped it up sooner, but he wanted to stand and trade with Jeff Neal. And he knows how much power Jeff Neal has. That's never been a question. He's hands of steel. I think he might get a little overconfident striking with Wonder Boy. But either way, at some point in this fight, both of us have Wonder Boy catching him, but then Shavkat realizing he's got to get this to the ground, and he'll wrap it up pretty shortly after that.
And the thing about the Jeff Neal fight is maybe he went in that fight not respecting the power. He hears the nickname and all this. Maybe he didn't respect the boxing and he
Yeah,
thought he could strike him with ease. I think he knows coming into this fight that, Jeff Neal isn't world renowned for his
yeah,
karate. Not world renowned. He's got hands of steel, but he's not like a boxing champion or some shit, right?
yeah.
He knows the threat that Wonder Boy presents, and I just think he's gonna respect that. He has to, or else he's gonna lose.
Yeah, no doubt.
So I think he'll come in with a bigger brain this time, without the ego. These Kazakhs don't is he Kazakhstani, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Have the ego, right? Or maybe he does a little bit, but he's learned. He's learning, hopefully, and he'll take care of business here.
I like it. I like it. We'll move on to the second fight on this card on the main event, or on the main card. Sorry, Tony Ferguson versus Paddy Pimblett. Here we are again. Here we are again. Another Tony Ferguson fight prediction after saying he should retire. It's like the second time we've been doing this.
And to be
It's now a 6-fight losing streak for Tony, right? And he's a couple months shy of being 40 years old.
And I think I've picked him every time.
I, I think you picked Bobby Green. I want to say you picked Bobby Green in the last one.
I probably picked knockout, though. I don't think anybody was thinking.
Yeah. We didn't really think submission, but looking back at his record, he had quite a few submissions on there.
Yeah.
Wasn't too shocking.
Against Cans back in the day.
Yeah, but back to this one, though. Back to this one. I don't have a lot of confidence in Tony. I think he's done. I think he's done. I've been saying this the last couple fights of his I've predicted. It's over. There's nothing much that needs to be said.
But do you have confidence in Paddy?
I have confidence in his ground game and how much stronger he's going to be out there than Tony. This is going to sound like I'm just being cruel. Tony's going to look old. He's going to look frail. He's going to look worn down from all that training he did with David Goggins. And Paddy Pimblett is a big lightweight. He's a big lightweight. He's got great jiu-jitsu. I think Paddy's going to muscle him down at some point, and he's going to find a submission. Tony's been subbed by Nate Diaz and Bobby Green in back-to-back fights. In a very sloppy fight against Nate Diaz. That was a kind of a joke of a fight. And then Bobby Green, not known for getting submissions, although he has quite a few on his record, like you said, against Cans. He got subbed by Bobby Green. I mean, what's to say Tony or Paddy Pimblett can't do it, who has great jiu-jitsu and is so much stronger.
He does. But if Paddy wants to stand there and strike, we've seen how high that chin gets for Paddy in his own round. He got outstruck by Jared Gordon, man.
Yeah. And Jared Gordon's not terrible. He's not terrible. He's
but
solid.
Not a power threat on the feet. He's none of those things. He doesn't have elite skill sets on the feet. And he outworked fucking Paddy Pimblett, probably 30-27 him, won all 3 rounds, and they robbed him. But
something to be noted, just to be fair to Paddy, he did break his foot in that fight in round 1. So I don't want to give him a pass. He did lose that fight. When I went to the scorecards, we said it when we were watching it. We think they're going to gift Paddy a decision, but it should have been Jared Gordon, no doubt. But he did break his foot, so that's something to be taken into account.
And I don't know how much of that broken foot stopped a jab hitting him in the face every time it was thrown from Jared Gordon. But I digress, right?
Yeah.
And I go back to Tony Ferguson, and notice how I haven't talked about Tony Ferguson much. I'm trying to talk about the negatives of Paddy Pimblett. There aren't many positives left in Tony Ferguson's game. I agree with you. He looks frail. He just went through fucking hell week with David Goggins. He looks even more frail. I saw him at the fucking the not press conference, but the pre-fight scrum or whatever they do, and he's looking rough, man. He's got gray sideburns. He's got the fucking gray in his beard. We've seen how slow he's looked.
Yeah.
And, just getting absolutely worked by Bobby Green, who's pretty old in his own right. He's a spring chicken, Bobby Green, and he looked rough in that one. So. Yeah. Do I do it just for the?
Your call, man. Your call.
Do I predict what I want to happen, or what do I think is going to happen?
I think you already predicted the guy you're rooting for in the main event. Let's take this one with your.
But I actually think Colby's going to win.
And that's a fair prediction. That's a fair prediction.
I don't
This
think.
one, I'm seeing a lot less, a lot less of a chance for
Yes,
Tony here.
and you can tell just in the way I'm talking. I was very confident in Colby earlier. I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah.
confident in Tony here
I'll
at
give you
all.
credit on that. You weren't picking with your heart there. You really think Colby's gonna win.
I do.
However, if you pick Tony here,
That this would be picking with my heart, and I'm
yeah.
not. I'm not. I do think it can go all 3 rounds. I'm not
Mm,
sure. Patty's just pretty bad, so I think Tony. Jiu-jitsu. There's going to be a strength advantage, no doubt, but maybe just the jiu-jitsu of Tony off his back can survive these rounds. I know we got arm triangled by Bobby Green, but that was after being weared down for
yeah.
14 minutes. So I could see Tony surviving. I'm going to go Patty by decision because I don't want to see Tony go to sleep again. Mainly is the reason I'm
He's
saying
not
this.
gonna tap.
He won't tap. He won't tap. Maybe he gets his arm broken. I don't know.
Oof.
I would like to see it. If Patty's going to win this by sub, I want to see a flying triangle because he has that in his arsenal. He
You
does.
see that fat fuck jump through the air and
Hey man,
throw up a flying triangle?
it's actually his signature move. So
No
he has
shot.
UFC yet. It was his Cage Warriors move. Uh,
Wow.
but if there's anybody he can do it against, it's against a fucking washed can. So
Oh man.
I'm actually gonna say Patty flying triangle because I want to see it. Third
That would
round.
be the best prediction of all time, honestly.
Hey,
That would be the best prediction of all time.
Mystic Drew knows these things. All right,
I'm gonna
Patty.
go. I'm gonna go round two rear naked choke. I think Patty's gonna work him down to the ground. I think he's just gonna sling him to the ground. Dude, I hate saying this, but I think Tony's gonna look old. I think it's gonna be apparent. Not even in the sideburns, just in how he fights.
Yeah,
I think he'll look slow like he has in his recent fights. He'll look a lot more frail, and his ligaments will be at the brink of exploding because of that David Goggins hell week he went through. So I think just off physicality alone, I think Pimblett's gonna this is gonna sound. I just sound like I'm bullying him, but I think he's gonna ragdoll Tony, take his back, rear naked choke, and night night again. I fear.
dude, you're talking about El Kukui like he's a fucking senior citizen here. I
Elk,
mean,
dude, he's only he's a couple months shy of 40, man. He's turning 40. He's turning 40 in February. And this isn't a heavyweight or a light heavyweight at 40. This is a lightweight 40 who's
you got
taking beatings lately.
you got to be fast still in that weight class if you're trying to keep up. And
Yeah.
Patty definitely has youth on his side, strength. Um, you know,
Maybe not the striking. I think and I'll give Tony a little bit of credit. He did tag Bobby in round one of their last fight. So he's
tag.
still has a little something in the tank when it comes to fighting on the feet. But I don't think it'll be enough to come anywhere near a finish. And I surely don't think he's gonna go all 3 rounds and win by decision. I don't know. I don't see it for him.
Hey, and I feel like I say this every episode now because for whatever reason, we're talking about old men. But the last thing to go is power. And
Yeah,
tag Bobby Green. He dropped Michael Chandler a couple fights before
yeah,
being knocked down in his own right. But he can tag people. And
yeah.
Patty's a little chinny. We see that hair flopping around whenever he eats a hook to the chin. So just Tony, right hand, sleep him, please. It's not gonna happen, but I need it.
Yeah, I'm not banking on it. I'm gonna stick with my round two sub for Pimblet there. We'll move on to the main card opener, which we assume will be Josh Emmett versus Bryce Mitchell because Vicente Luque and Ian Garry is off. Dana White just announced it on his Instagram minutes ago that Garry is sick. I think he said it started as the flu, now it's pneumonia. I want to say pneumonia,
Pneumonia.
something like that. So that fight's off. That fight's done, and unless someone fights Luque on short notice, which not sure who's going to step to the plate there. I haven't really looked at the rankings to see who'd be free to even take that fight.
2 days.
So I'm under the assumption that it's not going to happen. That he's not fighting on Saturday, and that it'll be Josh Emmett versus Bryce Mitchell on that main card opener. So what do you make of this one?
Um, Josh Emmett is a powerful guy, and Bryce Mitchell can definitely be hit.
Yeah,
He can. He's not very lethal in the striking game in his own right. He's kind of awkward, you could say, right?
very.
He's looking to do jujitsu. He's looking to sub you. He's looking to twister you, leg lock you, all this shit, right? He wants us to get to the ground, especially against a guy like Josh Emmett with not the best wrestling. Let's be honest. He can be subbed. We saw Yair Rodriguez sub him from his back, right? So Uh, Josh Emmett's going to by all means try and keep this on the feet, and I don't think he's going to be successful. Bryce Mitchell knows what he needs to do here, and it's kind of just these stylistic fights in this on this card is kind of just like use your brain, don't
Yeah.
try and compete with it, and this person should win or this person should win. But if something goes haywire, and especially in that Bryce Mitchell's head, you know how much of a goofball he is. Gonna bring a Bible to the octagon. He's gonna be screaming about the Lord and all this shit. So, if we get that, unhinged Bryce Mitchell, I might want to go back and change prediction. But smart, calculated Bryce Mitchell on short notice here, he should know what he needs to do to get this victory.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm. I know we talk a lot about Josh Emmett's power. We haven't seen it. We haven't seen it too much. And he throws those wild shots, which if they connect, it's trouble for anybody who's fighting. But he got dominated by Tapuria, got picked apart by Yair, which I know neither one of those guys, Bryce Mitchell doesn't hold a candle to either of those guys on the feet, obviously. But I think his striking. I do worry about his power, but I think his striking might be a little bit overrated. And because of how wildly he swings, how much he overextends a lot of the time, I think that can leave some opening for some takedowns for Bryce Mitchell. I think round one, I think it's going to be both guys kind of respecting their prowess and Bryce Mitchell on the ground, Josh Emmett on the stand up. So they'll probably be careful to engage in round one. I think. Round two, I think Josh Emmett's going to overextend. Bryce Mitchell's going to find a takedown. I think he's going to kind of hold him down for a round. And then in round three, I think the same thing will happen. But then Bryce Mitchell will find a sub. So I'm going to go round three sub for Thug Nasty.
I'm loving these predictions. It's kind of how he predicted the Wonder Boy fight to go, where you think it's gonna he's gonna get called right. Shavkat's gonna get called at the end of the round.
Yeah.
I think it'll go a little quicker than you're thinking it's gonna happen because these fights are so fast. I do see them feeling each other out round one. Like you said, they're gonna manage that distance. Emmett's not gonna want to overcommit,
Yeah.
and Mitchell's definitely not gonna want. So it could be a very boring first round we're looking at here. But I do think in round two, like you said, Emmett's going to get just bored or just want to win in exciting fashion. He's going to get bored of the boring fight that's taking place. He's going to overcommit, and Mitchell's going to trip him something, get him in the clinch, trip him, take him down, sub him in round two.
Mm.
I could see rear naked. I could see armbar even. I don't think Josh Emmett proposes much of defense in that category, especially not on Bryce Mitchell's level. So
Mm.
definitely going to sub him in round two. That's my prediction. And I'm going to go rear naked to be safe because it's the most common. But I can see armbar.
I'm just going to say sub. I don't got a specific one here for this fight.
I'm
So
going to go action.
I'm going to go heel hook. I don't know.
Nice.
Watch it happen, and then I can brag about that.
Yeah,
Even though I was just throwing shit out there.
Even though he said it jokingly, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so after all these exciting fights on UFC 296 we just talked about, we're going to get into a pretty boring one that got announced. Marab versus Rob Walshwilly versus Henry Cejudo. That'll be booked for 298. Yeah, I'm kind of excited for this one just because of the fact that I hate both of these guys. And one of them's going to lose. So
Yep.
I'm ecstatic about that.
And they're talking about wanting to make it 5 rounds, right? So
Please God, no. I wrote in my notes even. I was like, I'm hoping this isn't a 5 rounder just because I think this is gonna be a snooze fest.
yeah,
Please God, no.
no, I totally agree. It doesn't need to go 5 rounds, even
Yeah.
though I'm sure Marab would love it for it to go 5 rounds so that he can utilize his cardio, the fucking goblin. But I mean, what do you even say about this fight? It's going to be boring. No, I mean it's going to be technical. So if you're a true MMA, just fucking when you're not one of us, we're like we want blood. You're not going to see blood in this. I mean, you could, and there could be an elbow, a loose
Yeah.
elbow, but no, the striking's going to be horrible. Maybe Cejudo could drop him if his.
Maybe.
We know his takedown defense is going to be good.
Yeah.
Even Aljo had problems, and he hasn't had problems taking down anybody. So,
Yeah.
Cejudo, world-class takedown defense. But, Marab doesn't even really shoot looking to take you down. He shoots looking to gas you. So,
Yeah.
God, it's going to be so fucking awful, dude.
Well, he kind of halfway shoots. He'll get the wrap around the hips, and then he'll just kind of throw knees and then just hold you against the cage. It's a really shitty fight style. And then you got Henry Cejudo, who's one of the best defensive wrestlers the sport's ever seen. Obviously, Olympic gold medalist in wrestling, and he's not really he's not much known for his offensive capabilities in wrestling, but when it comes to defense, he does such a good job stuffing the takedowns, especially with the sprawls and stuff. Very flexible guy, but I think this is going to be just a really shitty fight. I really do. I think it's going to be Marab trying to hold him against the cage, and Cejudo trying to avoid getting taken down. But there's a slight chance that those two things neutralize each other, and maybe we get to see some good exchanges on the feet. But I'm not banking on it, frankly, and I'm just praying this is a 3-round fight.
And it's gonna take those periods in which Marab, does his gay little clinch and fake takedown attempt. That it's gonna be before that happens.
Yeah,
Change where they're standing, hand to hand in jab range. That Cejudo's gonna have to land a knee or just a right hand down the pipe. It's
yep,
gonna take that for this to not be the worst fight of all time. And,
yeah,
I'm praying for it. I'm not, not definitely not predicting that to happen, because these are horrible, not horrible fighters, horrible style fighters.
yeah.
Just not fun to watch. And
I'm with you on that.
and
I'm with
and the most redeeming part, like you mentioned, is one of them gets to lose, and so
yeah.
hopefully never be in the title picture again. Either
You
one.
know me as Henry Cejudo is one of his biggest haters. Proud to say that.
I'm
So
one.
and then Marab too. I can't stand him. I think he's a freak.
I actually can't stand Marab less because at least Henry is known to strike a little.
True, true.
Marab is a fucking goblin.
Cejudo, my hate for him is more of it is a little bit style, but mostly personality. I think he's
Mainly, yeah, the little
incredibly obnoxious
he's
and
got the little midget syndrome where he tries to
yeah,
bring it back on you and be a
little man syndrome. It's okay.
right, but
Yeah,
it doesn't work. He's not intimidating.
yeah.
He,
Be
he
more like DJ. Be like your buddy. So
have some class.
yeah. Come on,
Yeah,
Henry. Be better. Be like us.
better, Cejudo, you double champ Olympic wrestler.
You're too annoying for me.
Agreed.
All right, we'll move on. We'll move on. Curtis Blades and Jelton Almeida is rebooked. That'll be on UFC 299. I'm glad this got rebooked, and I'm really glad that Almeida didn't get a shot at Gane. I think that'd have been pretty weak. That performance against Derek Lewis was very lackluster. You would have thought it would play out kind of like the Rosenstrike fight, where he gets him down, finds a rear naked choke pretty quickly, and it was set up to be that. I mean, it was a short notice Derek Lewis. It was in front of his home crowd. It was a 5-round fight, so he had 25 minutes to find that submission. Couldn't do it though, and it put on one of those boring fights we've seen in a long time. So I'm really glad he has to actually face a little bit of a test when it comes to the grappling and Curtis Blades.
Yeah. And speaking of fights we're glad aren't going to be 5-rounders, I mean,
Yeah,
I'm really glad we don't have to see another 5 rounds of Jailton Almeida maybe getting a submission.
yeah,
He'll just maybe get a submission in these 3 rounds against Curtis Blades, who in his own right needs a win here. It's going to be the same deal as can he stuff the forward pressure of Habib? Sorry, Jailton. Um, he really is just like a fucking Dagestani in disguise. But
yeah.
um,
Except he doesn't do anything in full mount. That's the
that's the difference.
difference. He just sits there and stares at you.
Yeah, no ground and pound threat at all,
Mm.
like these Dagestanis have had. It's just searching for loose attempts for subs, and if they don't happen, no other threat other than that. He'll just lay on you in full mount, and if he does get a sub, whoopsie shit.
Yeah,
So I hope Curtis can keep this standing, and we have to see are forced to see a new aspect of Jailton's game
yep.
because we have not seen any. He is a smaller heavyweight, so if it were to stay on the feet, could he get caught? Definitely.
That's exactly what I have written down my notes. I mean, Blades has a serious size advantage, and I know in other divisions, there's not a whole lot of weight disparity when it comes to two fighters in the octagon. But with heavyweight, I mean, you can be so far apart in weight. And Jelton Almeida, he's one of the smallest heavyweights, and Curtis Blades is a big dude. Still be a big size advantage for Curtis Blades, and if the grappling cancels out, if Blades can stop this from going to the mat, he is a big dude with a lot more power than Almeida. And Almeida's been knocked out before in other promotions. So who knows? I don't mind. After seeing the Lewis fight, I don't mind Curtis's chances in this of beating Jailton Almeida. Is what I'll call him.
Jailton Almeidov. if you want a good sense of how this fight could go, though, just Google a picture of Jailton Almeida's back, and you see all the roid scars. Like,
Lab creature.
yes, he is a small heavyweight, but he does not lack in the strength department. That's pretty clear. Um,
He-
he went to Kamaru Usman's doctor, so his dad. So
yeah.
he went to the Usman family. Usman, yeah. Anyways, sorry. Usman slander here. Jailton Almeida got the good stuff, and he does not lack in the strength department.
Did a little training with the Black Zillions. That's what he did.
Exactly.
Jelton
So,
Almeida. Yeah.
probably, but it's not.
Yeah, after all that, he's gonna win anyways.
Yeah, exactly.
But we'll save the predictions, of course, as we always do. These are just the announcements, a little bit of breakdown. But the next one, we got Mateus Gamrot versus Rafael dos Anjos. That'll be on UFC 299 as well. Interesting matchmaking here. RDA, he just fought Luque at 170. It looks like he's back down to 155. Gamrot, I'm kind of puzzled by him taking this because you'd think he's one win away from a title shot. I know that win over Fiziev was a fluke, but he's kind of put together a nice little streak. He I hate to say it, but he beat Fiziev, and if he beats a top contender, he's probably in line to get a title shot. So it's fighting RDA at this point is a little bit confusing for me.
Yeah, a guy who can't decide what weight class he wants to be in
Yeah,
to save his life. I mean, has anyone changed weight classes from fight to fight more than RDA?
maybe Kevin Holland.
Fair, yeah. That's the only other guy I can think of.
Yeah,
Literally every fight, they're going back and
yeah,
taking short notice fights up a weight class. All this BS.
yeah,
RDA is probably going to lose because Matej Gamrot is a younger,
yeah,
uh, more ready, for the title picture kind of fighter.
yeah,
Frankly, the guy who weighed in for the title,
yeah.
you know, for the lightweight title in the Islam Volk fight. He was the backup. Of course,
He
Charles.
was the backup for Charles
You're
for
right. He was,
Charles Islam before
and
he
then
got
was a pull,
jumped.
and they didn't go with him. So is he kind of getting the Bilal treatment here?
Maybe.
Is Matej Gamrot the new Bilal Muhammad for lightweight? I mean, he is boring. Don't get me wrong. So he's gonna win this though, and he's gonna keep his ranking and probably never get a title shot. I don't know. I don't know
Yeah,
what.
I do like this. I stylistically and with the trajectories both men are on, I do like this more for Gamrot. I think this should be a pretty easy win for him. With all due respect to RDA, former champ, great career in the UFC, but
Of course.
just the trajectory both guys are on. I mean, RDA, let's be real, he's kind of 1 foot out the door. I mean, he's up there in age. Gamrot, he's a win or two away from a title shot, and
Is
great
he?
grappling. I think he's just got him here.
Yeah. Is he a fight or two away from a title shot? We don't know because
Yeah, maybe not if Dana really
if
hates him that
they're
much.
giving him RDA, the guy who is barely a lightweight at this point,
True.
is he even ranked in lightweight? Like if he is, it's in the 10 to 12
I think
range.
he's like I don't even know if he is anymore. I
Right.
don't know if he is.
This guy is barely lightweight anymore. He's barely a UFC fighter anymore. Like you said, he's 1 foot out the door.
Yeah.
Why are they making this fight? I don't know. Because they don't want Matej Gamrot to get a number one contender shot is why they're giving him this fight. So,
Essentially.
and Poirier ain't gonna fight him. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, weird matchmaking. Matej Gamrot should win.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. The last fight announcement we have is Tatiana Suarez versus Amanda Lemos for 298 as well. Suarez has looked great since coming back from her long layoff. Last win was against Andrade. She won pretty convincingly. Got a second round submission, I want to say. And Lemos is coming off of an absolute beating from Zhang Wei Li in her title fight, which can't really falter for that. It's Zhang Wei Li, so yeah.
Yeah, but Tatiana Suarez is a worthy challenger. I thought
Absolutely.
might not even need to take a fight like this.
Yeah.
Which I think she's from California, and this card's in California, so maybe that's why she's taking it. She wants to get the true number one contender shot, beating the person who just challenged for it, right? So makes sense in that aspect. I think she could have waited her turn, but she wants to keep fighting. She was out for so long, 3-4 years, so
yeah,
definitely wants to stay active. I like it. I think she needs to win this to keep the division moving, because if Amanda Lemos wins, we saw how bad she lost to the champ. That would kill this division.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, both fighters they're dangerous in different areas. I mean, Amanda Lemos, she has great power on the feet, and Suarez, she's really dangerous on the ground, gets those submissions. I wonder. if Suarez wins quickly, does she get the title shot next over Yan Xiaonan? Because that fight hasn't been booked. I thought Zhang Weili versus Yan Xiaonan would have been booked by now, but that hasn't come to fruition. So maybe if Suarez goes out there and picks up a quick finish, that fight hasn't been booked yet. If Suarez doesn't take any damage, she could be next in line after this win.
I mean, we were kind of banking on the Zhang Weili and Yan Jianan fight being this past weekend.
On the China card, that
We
seemed like a layup.
thought it was going to be in China. We
Yeah,
thought it made perfect sense, and then it ends up being a horrible Vegas fight night instead.
yeah,
And no announcement for either of those two ladies is even on the radar, it seems. But I'm
yeah.
hoping it can be the co-main for one of these first 3 months, just
Hmm.
kind of in the same time range as this Suarez and Lemos fight,
Yeah,
so that if Suarez does win, those two will have just fought or will be close to fighting in their
yeah,
own right. And then you can schedule Suarez, to fight the winner of that, obviously, for the title.
yeah,
But yeah, that division, it needs new blood, and Suarez needs to take advantage here. And there seems like there could be a grappling advantage there.
yeah.
So she needs to take advantage of that.
Absolutely. That's about all we have for the big fight announcements. Only really rumor we have in the UFC rumor mill. We did see a tweet where the UFC website temporarily had UFC 299 as to be determined for the main event. So maybe a shuffling around. Maybe we get a big title fight added to that. Well, Islam Makhachev versus Justin Gaethje was talked about for early in the year. I can't think of any other title shots that would dethrone O'Malley and Vera um, as the main event spot that has been rumored. That's pretty much the only one. So take it with a grain of salt, and especially because of Twitter. So the screenshot could have been faked, but who knows? Just something to keep an eye on, possibly.
And that card, I've been outspoken about how much I hate that main event.
Yeah.
So uh,
Which, to be fair, a couple of these fight announcements with Blades and Almeida and Gamrot and RDA, beefed up the card just a little bit.
you got to beef up the main card a little bit here.
Yeah,
But God, it would still just be such a weak main event that
yeah,
I feel like, O'Malley, it doesn't, you hear O'Malley's going to be on a card. It doesn't matter if he's the guy on the poster or the second guy on the poster. It doesn't matter. You know, he can be a co-main,
yeah.
and he should not be headlining pay-per-views at this point in his career, especially against a guy who we feel like doesn't even deserve this title shot. Let's be honest.
Yeah, it's not a strong contender he's going up against, really.
Right. It's not like some boogeyman that everybody feels like is going to beat him.
Yeah,
It's a guy that, sure beat him before, but people feel like he should get his get back this time.
yeah,
And it would be a weak main event. I'd love to see the Islam Gaethje fight you're mentioning.
hmm
Maybe if Colby Covington wins this weekend, that pay per views in Miami, maybe he can make a quick turnaround and main event that card against
yeah,
a Wonder Boy or Shavkat. Who knows? But
yeah,
that'd be sweet. I'd love it. And that card needs a new main event, and I'm rooting for that rumor to be true, even though it's just a rumor.
yeah. Like I said, take it with a grain of salt. But my guess on that main event right now is that it's going to be a points fest. So I'm hoping for that to come to fruition. That
Yep.
main event, a new main event.
Yeah.
So that's about all we got for you guys on episode 16 of UFC Casuals. If you watched this far, thank you very much for tuning in. Please like and subscribe, and we'll be back next week for a recap of 296. I'm sure there'll be a lot more to talk about.
Let's go, Colby.